Hey guys, this is Jon
and Austin,
and welcome to another episode of the Meatgistics Podcast. So we've got a bit of a Jon-centric one today, something I've been wanting to talk about. I'm annoyed. I took Thursday and Friday off last week, and
Did you really though?
Did I really? Yeah. What do you mean?
Okay.
I didn't do any work.
Okay.
I did work around the house nonstop, but
we drug you into a few conversations, but
yeah, but it wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
it wasn't that bad. I mean, I did yard work literally Thursday. My wife had to work. We planned on doing yard work Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, but she ended up having to go in. So I cleaned the house like a good little house husband. By the way, Jon's Brew House on Meatgistics is a stay-at-home dad.
Oh, really?
That's amazing. I was like, "You're living the dream." And he was laughing. Yeah, well, I assume he's laughing. He responded as if he was laughing. So that's pretty great.
I was actually just talking with my wife about that in the last few days because I hate Mondays. I hate Mondays because I get to spend like the weekend with my kids. And then on Monday, it's like dad just disappears. Where's dad go?
Right.
And it's just
hard
no
on
fun.
The kids, yeah.
On the other hand, when I see the frustrations that my wife goes through,
didn't have to deal with that.
Yeah. So it's kind of a split deal. It'd be like, it would be awesome to be like a stay-at-home dad. And on the other hand, it'd be like, well, dude, you don't just get fun times. You get get both.
Yep. And I mean, let's be honest, in many ways, you still have a child here. In many ways.
I don't know if I should. I'm just not going to comment.
Yeah, fair enough.
We can talk off air about some things.
There are times I walk up and like peek in his office. Is he going to look? Is he going to look? And I go, no, run away.
My favorite is Jon. He'll like walk. There's the smallest of hallways between our room and where the office is where Austin is. And he gets halfway and then I hear like the carpet turn around. He goes, no, this is something I could do on my own.
See?
Or he goes, I better. And it's a comical, 6 times a week. Like honestly, because you can see him have a thought. He goes, pushes up out of his desk and walks. And then he goes, you know what? He's busy.
I want to do that to him.
He goes, this is what he pays me for. And
it's gotten better in the last 3 or 4 months, right?
Yeah.
With me coming in less.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it was worse when we sat in the same room for a long time.
What, over there?
Yeah.
That was like 5 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying you're getting better.
You probably
obviously
got no work done. You're just every thought. Ooh, what about
this?
You're actually probably not any worse than Dylan is. Dylan, I feel, is like the worst at it, but part of it is just his communication style. He doesn't want to email me anything. Doesn't do anything. I'm like, no, it's an email.
Okay.
But he has to come in and talk, so he pops in my office all the time with stuff. It's been weird lately. I've been getting a lot more overall. You haven't been as bad, but there's been so many times when I've been sitting in a meeting with somebody else and somebody pops in. Yesterday I had like a meeting with somebody and I had 3 other people in the office.
Oh, well, one of them was me, your dad, then your brother.
Yeah.
They all came in. So then you had another one where there were other people in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's terrible.
But I don't close my door if I want to be interrupted, I'll close my door during a meeting. So
fair enough. A little inside baseball there, I guess.
Yep. So you go to Thanksgiving, it looks like you're just walking into a board meeting then, right? You're just like, oh gosh. I just saw you guys. Jeez, leave me alone.
Yeah. I feel like Dylan's like what he would bring to you are way higher level things too. Like I'm asking you, why can't I make this thing work on the website? He's asking you, what do you think we should do for the next 5 years? Much different conversations.
No, I mean different, but not like 5 years out. That type of stuff we have separate time for it. Usually stuff like that gets brought up in like board meetings. We do board meetings every quarter. We also have weekly meetings, or we also have like a weekly lunch. Brett, Dylan, and I all go out for. That way we're out of the building. Mm-hmm. People can't interrupt us. So there's things like that get brought up at other times. The stuff that he walks in my office on is more of like, there's a problem here. We need to fix this. Okay. What are we going to do?
All right. So these are jalapeno popper beef snack sticks.
I was going to say, I just made jalapeno popper brats, and this, just looking at it, I'm like, that has to be what this is.
It's so good, by the way.
They are 10% more.
That snap is incredible.
Mm-hmm. Amazing snap.
Yep.
They are 10% more seasoning per pound of meat to deal with the fresh to cured sausage ratio. It is all beef. It is almost a 50-50 mix of 80-20 and what is it, 74-26?
Probably 73-27.
73-27. So it's a almost 50-50 mix of that. So we've got a really good fat content in it. It has the ratio of 1.5 quarts of water to a 25-pound batch. It has Sure-Gel, sodium erythorbate, cheese, and was done without any issues through our electric sausage stuffer.
We forgot the number one ingredient.
That is meat?
Love.
There's no love. It's just spite, bitterness, and angry.
What ratio of cheese did you use?
Probably real close to yours. Actually, probably more than that because it was 8 pounds. Yeah, so more than that. I used almost an entire bag of it, and there was 8 pounds of meat. So above 1 pound to 10 pounds of cheese.
Okay. So did you follow my post this last weekend on Meatgistics?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So the sausage I made. Yeah, I guess you wouldn't have because you were surprised that I had used the sausage stuffer.
No, I was more annoyed and offended, but whatever.
But made the jalapeno popper into brats in collagen casings and cheeseburger cheddar wurst. Did a little over 4 pounds, about 5 pounds, give or take, somewhere in there, and used a whole pound of cheese in each one.
To 5
Fantastic.
pounds?
Yeah, 20% cheese ratio. It was killer.
That's stupid. That's not even...
It was amazing.
Why bother adding meat? Just eat cheese, Austin. That's what you really want.
The jalapeno popper was good. It tried to... I put mozzarella in it.
Okay.
It tried to cut down on the heat. They were spicy. And then the cheeseburger cheddar wurst, that was just amazing because that's already cheesy. And you just put 20% of high temp cheese in there, and it was cheese overload. It was incredible. I got raving reviews.
I should have known that cheese overload from you was not a negative. Like that's
No.
It was amazing.
Yeah, most people on the Meatgistics post were in agreement that the cheese overload was a good thing.
Okay, I don't know if I agree with that, but sure. But no, so that's awesome. Seemed to work really well. These are 19 millimeter collagen or smoked collagen casings. We're still in discussions what we're going to say when we release that, because technically it's coming with a 13 millimeter tube will be the smallest tube. There will be no 12 millimeter tube available. So that means technically the smallest collagen you can use is 21 millimeter. But
well, you fit 19s on it.
I made that. So it's just, there's a little trick that we don't know if we want to be like, it's a lot of explaining to do. So it's just like,
you don't
use
just
21.
Slide them on.
Yes, but no. So, all right, we'll go. When I was up at Iowa State, one of the Devereaux guys was there. I was explaining this to him. He told me I was crazy, made me send him a video of me doing what I told him I was doing. And I'll explain what that is in a second. And then when I sent him that, basically responded just saying like, no, that's not what you should be doing. It's the thing is way too big. I'm like, you're not addressing my question. So anyways, how we get the 19 millimeter smoked collagen casing onto the 13 millimeter stick is by loading it exactly the opposite way. Now, according to the Devereaux guy, he goes, that won't work at all. It's actually smaller on that end. Like, but it works.
You got the video proof.
And you cannot do it the other way. It just like, you can unravel it and get it on there the other way. But this way, you just have to open the end of it, push it on, and you got to twist it a little bit as you're putting it on to like give it a little bit more oomph.
But you're getting resistance way less, right? Like there, obviously, so if you're going to try this yourself, you're going to try the path of least resistance, so to speak. So you're going to try to force it on. You're like, that's really not going. Flip it the other way. And if it goes on a little bit easier at first, that's the side you want to go.
So if you imagine collagen like stacking bowls, if you look at it real close when it's shrunk down, instead of the bowls coming out of each other, you want it to be like backwards. Like the bowls are stacked open end down and you're pulling them off the top.
So the base of the bowl is coming off of the stuffing tube.
Yep.
But that's technically backwards.
That's technically backwards. Yeah. So I was asking him, like, am I like, what's the downside to that? And he's just like, it's what do you say? Putting like unnecessary tension or something on the casing. I'm like, no, it's necessary because that's how I can get it on there. So it's very necessary.
To be honest, it's probably a deal where you don't want to do that if you're running a commercial machine that has automation. Because that's what Devereaux casings are designed for, is running off of a vacuum stuffer that has an auto linker and a hanger on it. And I mean, it's more or less unattended. People slide it on and the machine does it all, and it ends up on smoke sticks going on a conveyor to a smokehouse.
Yep.
But if you're doing this at home, there's
no problems.
No problem.
Yeah.
That little extra tension, probably not a big deal. Maybe you see it a blowout a little easier, which would be a big deal if you're running an automated machine, because then it creates a break. You have to stop. You stop production. But if you're doing it at home,
and if it doesn't have a sensor, then you have meat coming out, either onto a floor or table that hopefully is sanitized. But
so my guess is probably not something to recommend for higher level commercial production, but for at home, probably doesn't make enough of a difference for anybody to notice.
Yeah, no. If you're doing higher end commercial production,
don't listen to Jon.
Don't have that stuff,
Oh yeah, no matter what happens, we will have to specifically state on these again, not meant for commercial production, which I get into a little bit of a rant here.
Yeah, I knew you as soon as that started coming up, I know what you're going to say.
It drives me insane. People in the industry that say, "Oh, this is a commercial grinder. This is a commercial sausage
vacuum
stuffer."
sealer is the one I see all the time.
Oh. And I'm like, you have no idea, because a lot of our competitors out there, just pick on the big box stores. They're easy. Bass Pro and Cabela's. They do that. They call their grinders like commercial grinders. It's like, no, you are selling a $300 to $800 grinder. If you want a commercial grinder, come spend $20,000 minimum. Spend that, and then we're talking.
Hold on. You don't think the Pro Cuts are commercial grinders?
Oh,
R&D batch commercial.
They're closer. I mean, it depends on the application. It's more of still a small batch thing. I would say the Pro Cut's totally fine to use in a commercial environment, but you're not going to run like 500-pound batches over and over through them. Yep. You're still going to do smaller batches. Like you're talking like the Hall equipment that we sell.
Right.
You're talking a 200-pound mixer grinder. That's where you really get like true commercial production.
So yeah, in commercial production, obviously, like spend money if it'll save time. Like that is 100% worth it if you can increase production in less time. At Iowa State, and I will eventually stop talking about this, but it'll be a while. One of the really cool things we saw was this guy who designs like the biggest of all, like huge plants. And it has, lines that carry the meat. It grinds onto a line, and the line then pulls it down to the mixer, auto loads into the vacuum stuffer. So it's just continuous. The new mixers are 2 axles. So they have 2 axles with paddles on them going at the same time, just like, not hitting paddles, like perfectly timed. And then the grinders have 2 augers. So it feeds it down. It has 2 augers that are like exact opposite. So it's constantly getting force. There's never a back up and push. It's just a constant push down to the plate. And it was awesome to see.
Interesting. You would think, I don't know, my first thought, if you have 2 augers, you really want more than that, because you're going to have too much area. Because I assume the head is still coming out as a circle.
I don't know. Yes.
If it was, then you would think you'd want like 4 augers. Does that make sense? Because if you had 2, you got a lot of gap on like the top and bottom to make that a full circle.
Okay.
So if you had another one there, you got 4. It's more circle-like.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, it makes some sense, but I don't know. I'm sure they thought of that, because if you're adding 2 and it's making it better, we're Americans. 4 must be better than 2.
I want to do some looking.
Wasn't American.
So that we need to ask We need to make a list of questions on like weird stuff like that to give to Brett and Dylan because they go to IFA in 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And so I say guaranteed like stuff like that. If you want to see something in action or find out information about it, it'll be at IFA.
It's only 2 weeks to rendezvous.
2-3 weeks. I don't know.
Oh my God.
You haven't even planned about it.
Oh no, it is like only 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
God.
I do have a question, by the way, on the heels of that. Do you guys see a lot of room for improvement with regards to meat processing technology currently? Like, what era are we in? Are we still in like the Model A and Model, or are we at?
No.
We're in the Mercedes C class or whatever. And
We're probably, just my opinion, we're probably in the post Ford and Chrysler being the big guys. You've got more different. Are we talking about commercial or retail? Because if we're talking about commercial, we're very much into the super hyper cars.
They got
like some of these things are just
oiled machine, but still but just looking at it though, it's still just like, well, that meat is in this giant container, and then it's these giant paddles moving through it. So it's just like, it's barbaric to a point, but like how intense can that technology even become? You know what I mean? It still has to have those checks and balances along the way. But yeah, tough comparison of obviously to something that has a lot more moving parts like cars and stuff like that. But
yeah, but it's an understandable one. Unless they do something different with like meat production, then no, it'll always be like that. And I mean, like, I don't know, some sort of meat replacement. I have no
I'm
idea.
sure over the last 20 years they've gone leaps and bounds too, just without anything. So
yep. And then the last thing go ahead. Do you have something?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Last thing I want to talk about. I've got a really nice example here of what happens to cured meat when it's cooked. So this is what was left over plus a little bit in the bottom of the grinder, bottom of the stuffer. For these snack sticks. So this is seasoned with the same exact seasoning. We used sodium erythorbate instead of encapsulated citric acid because I didn't want to tang on these. And in all fairness, encapsulated citric acid does not burn quite as red as sodium erythorbate, but it still does. But what we can see here is when we're mixing meat and we're adding a cure to it, it's going to create this grayish, kind of unappealing, honestly, meat that looks like something that should be thrown out. However, when we heat treat it, we end up with this beautiful pink color. I mean, you can see it's not just on the outside, it's on the inside. And that conversion, the heat being applied to it, is what turns it and sets that color. Letting it sit out for an hour, blooming it 2 hours, whatever you tend to like to do is what sets that. And so the final product is nitrosohemochrome, right? That's nitrosohemochrome. So this is myoglobin.
Sure.
Yeah. It's either myoglobin or dexamyoglobin. And then when you heat treat it, it changes it to nitrosohemochrome, that really nice pink color. That occasionally I'll be eating some cured snack sticks or something at home. My wife go, "You sure you cooked that right?" I'm like, "Shut up, Lisa, you don't know anything." It annoys me because, I thought one of the advantages of marrying a scientist, she's not a scientist, she always says that, but like I ask her all these off the wall questions and she's like, "I don't know." I'm like, "How do you not know that?
You got to know that.
It seems like this type of thing a scientist should know."
Well, it seems like what she normally does is like so incredibly even hard to understand that I get what you're saying. Like, how do you not learn?
Why wouldn't you know all these other things
along the way?
It seems so much simpler than what you're doing.
It's the elementary algebra, so to speak, of her level. Yeah.
Meanwhile, it's probably just something she's never dealt with before. I was looking at a graph that she had last night. She was monitoring the startup of one of their cells, and there were legitimately 100 lines on this graph, all of them different colors, like by very small shades. And it just looked like Leo had grabbed a bunch of pens and was just drawing on something. I was like, "There's no way that means anything to you." She's like, "Yeah, I can see right here. This is where they powered up. This is where they lost blah, 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 blah." I'm like, God.
You just got to look through it through that lens for that long to just be able to have it make sense. That's what I'm telling my simple mind over here. I go, no. It's not that they're that much smarter. It's that they've studied it longer than me. So it's not an IQ thing. No.
They're not better than me.
Yeah.
All right. I see you've got a Meatgistics thing open.
So I guess first, so for those that are just listening and you can't see, check out our YouTube video, or we'll see if we can take pictures. And
Patrick got some stuff.
Okay, we'll post it on the post for this podcast on the Meatgistics website.
Yep. I took some cell phone pictures too.
So then backstabbing. Not backstabbing, backstepping a little bit. Have you ever been to a large meat plant?
What do you mean by large?
I mean like full automation.
There was a lot of automation in one of the ones we went to when we went with.
Oh, you went to Nebraska?
Yes.
Like that one?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, there's decent amount of automation.
Okay. Need to see if we can get you into another somewhere. I'd like to go again.
Okay.
I talked to Dylan, but to see some of the differences in machinery, like meat mixers, you can literally put like a couple cars in.
There was nothing there.
That wasn't that.
There's nothing there that big.
I was most impressed with sanitation levels at those places, though, because we went to more of a mid-size and a small one. And the stuff that you overlook, obviously they're wearing the frocks and stuff for hair, but like I had no idea that in between each room, and there's closed doors in between each section along the way, that there's actually sanitation they put on the ground.
Yep.
That you actually it looked like you would slip right in it, but it's actually meant to just, we want to kill anything on the ground up to that point, up to the door. So they just do away with all that. But just fascinating stuff.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
That's very good. And that plant, to me at least, what they were making was at that time such a huge, like it kind of, I don't see it around as much anymore.
No, and I was going to comment on that too.
But they were pumping out so many a minute. It was insane how fast that stuff was coming off the line. And then they had the roll stock machine, so right into the packaging. Yeah. And they just had 4 people there grabbing them off the line and putting them in the package. That's all they were doing, as fast as they could.
There was a person there that was 4 foot something. They just put them on the shorter line.
That's right.
Remember they had a specific, like, well, no one wanted to bend at the waist, so they go, well, you could just
do this right here.
Yeah.
She was legitimately 4'6".
Not even.
Probably not
really.
even. She was the shortest person you could be without being
probably. Who knows the labels? But
this is the right place for this. This is not the right place for this.
But
I'll tell you about a joke I did to my sister once.
It's just so cool. Like, and that's such a small community too, that, I mean, what population of like 1,000, some of these towns, if that. So large portion of the people that live there actually work there for a long time. And it's just cool to see that, like, she obviously couldn't lift 50 pounds over her head, but there's a job for her there. There's something there. So,
Yep. All right. We got anything else? Or are we going on to Meat Matters? Oh, this is terrible. I should have had a tinfoil hat ready to put on.
Why?
Because of what I want to talk about.
You should just have it under the...
Yeah. I did at one point pull out a tinfoil hat. When was that?
I don't know.
It was during a live stream.
Probably.
It was that evening live stream.
Oh, it was just you and
it was just me. Now I'm going to tell you what's really going on at Walton instead of with the tinfoil hat on. All right. So while I was on vacation, so it wouldn't have mattered anyways, but Thursday, I listened to numerous different podcasts. And Thursday, somebody mentioned something about a fire at the meat plant, the big one at JBS, right? Like 2 years ago, whenever that was. And it got me thinking, like, there are a ridiculous number of fires at meat plants recently. At least it seemed like it. Then Tim Pool and Podcast of the Lotus Eaters, Carl Benjamin, both on Monday started both their podcasts with this topic. So I was super salty about that, like very, very salty. Obviously, they have people working there way smarter than me who also heard that and were like, hey, something is going on here. And it has been. There's been a bunch of articles out there right now about the abnormal number of fires at food processing plants. So before we get into it, there's been 26 fires in food processing plants in the past, basically 2.25 years. So the big one that we are all familiar with was August 2019. There's a Tyson food plant in Kansas. That plant handled 6% of all the beef in the U.S. 6%. Now, do you want to hear something really impressive? I did some follow-up research. It was less than 30 days later, they were back to full capacity. That's insane. That is, get people here, get them right now. They are working around the clock, like hire 4 construction crews.
That was also pre-COVID. You couldn't do that today. That I don't think could happen in today's world.
Was that pre-COVID?
Yeah, 19.
I don't know when COVID started.
COVID started in
Hasn't
like
it always been
December
here?
19.
I thought it was always here. I don't remember a time before it.
Tinfoil hat.
So, all right. So that one was in August 2019. Then we jumped to January 2021, right? So huge gap between there where there are no notable ones. We've got the Delhi Star Corp fire in St. Clair. Firefighters used up 2/3 of the town's water to put that out. Okay. Then we've got July 2021. There was a Kellogg's plant caught on fire in Memphis, Tennessee. August 2021, there's a large fire at Tyson Chicken processing plant in Haynesville, Alabama. Now, that one was just taking chicken byproduct and making feed out of it, but still. August 2021, the Patak meat products, it burnt down almost completely in Atlanta. September 2021, JBS, which completely shut down one of the largest processing plants in the nation. They do 5% of all the beef, all of it. Now, they claim that the cause of that one was found and it was just the dryers. Something happened with one of the dryers and sparked and caused a major fire. November 21, Pennsylvania fire at a meat processing plant in Lackawanna County. It's a Made Right steak company. And oddly enough, I was looking to make Philly cheesesteaks 2 weeks ago. And I couldn't find any Made Right. Like the Minute Steak, they're the ones who make that. Couldn't find them anywhere. Huh. So I don't know if that ever came back or not. I couldn't find anything on it. February 2022, Shears Food in Oregon had an explosion and a fire. Taylor Farms food processing plant in California burnt down. April, the headquarters of Azure Foods Processing in Oregon burned down. March, a massive fire in Walmart in Plainfield, Indiana. It was a center for food distribution, and it was so big that 350 firefighters responded, and the ATF got involved. January 2022, poultry processing plant causing multi-million dollars in damages. That was in Hamilton Mountain. February 3rd, 2022, a portion of Wisconsin River Meats, who I believe is a customer of ours, portions of the plant were a total loss. February 24th, 2022, boiler explodes at Oregon potato chip plant. I remember hearing about that one. April 11th, New Hampshire's East Conway beef and pork has such a large fire that firefighters needed 16 hours to get it under control. Can you imagine fighting a fire for 16 hours? You gotta be super tired after that.
I can't focus because you said a word that sounded weird, and I always have to make fun of you when you say words that are weird.
What did I say?
You said New Hampshire.
Huh. New Hampshire. It's either way.
Is it either way?
Yeah, it's either way.
Oh, okay. Man. How do we always do this? We find like a particular word that's like, we look it up and it goes, actually, it's pronounced either way.
It's got to be either way. And then April 2022, a massive fire at Salinas food processing plant in California. Now.
Dude, food is super flammable. Gosh.
Well, okay. So that sounds like that's a fairly significant list of significant fires that we just read, right? The problem is there's 36,000 food and beverage processing plants across the United States. When you put that over 2.5 years and there's 36,000 of them, that sounds a lot more reasonable. Like, it doesn't even sound that much, especially when, in my opinion at least, you factor in whatever is going on with everybody the last 2 years. I don't know if you call it exhaustion. I don't know if you call it everyone's just had enough, but I don't feel like people pay as much attention as they used to do. I don't feel like people are as on the ball as previous. I've lost the ability to both see anything within 6 inches of my face and carry a coherent thought in my head for more than like 20 minutes, and then it's gone. Yeah. So I think we all just need like a good 6 months of no news, no nothing, no wars, no pandemics, no nothing, just average life to like reset. So we all just need to agree. Nobody do anything for a while.
Just no internet for 6 months.
Oh. Well, no, that'd be bad for us. That would be bad for us.
I'd probably start riding my bike again. Just take it back to the 3rd grade all the way.
As wonderful as that sounds, I don't think that'll ever happen.
No.
The world will never slow down.
That's unfortunate.
I wonder if these are just like bigger fires that are reported. Do you get the same reporting out of like a small town butcher shop if it caught fire?
No, definitely not. I mean, it's a more tear-jerking story that we'll hear on the local news, but it won't make it to...
That Patek one was fairly small. It was like in a grocer or in a mini mall. Wasn't a big plant. Also, right now, with the amount of attention being paid to this, if there were a bunch of smaller fires that didn't get reported on, this would have been
the moment.
People would have been like, no, there were this, and this. So a lot of the early ones you saw said 16, then people said 26. So maybe people did go back through and kind of find a few more, but no.
Do you think
in general?
Bringing it up, do you believe all these are 100% like legit fires that happened organically?
Mm-mm.
No. What percent do you think are like corrupt?
Well, I think you've got two things going on there, or you've got more than two. But the two big ones are, and it's the main thing with any fire, where does insurance fraud play into this? Because it's not 0% of those, I'll guarantee you that. It's not 100% of them, I'll guarantee you that. It's probably somewhere in the 10%. Like,
I think that's a safe.
Generally, like what fires usually are. You also have the people who are anti-meat. Definitely plays a role. There was a suspicious number, like 3 of them were in Oregon, and they were all pretty close together. So
yeah, meat protesting is still a
thing,
wasn't it? God, I hate to be 100% wrong here, but I think they're protesting the Minnesota T-Wolves game versus Grizzlies every time they're in Minnesota because the owner, he's into some other animal activist thing to where he's doing something wrong with animals along the way that I'm sure he has no idea that's actually happening. But there's been people protesting the games this last series.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're
interesting.
They're running
for the Grizzlies
for the animals.
Right? No, I'm saying
no. They're protesting the Timberwolves.
Okay.
But no, they're just running on to the court, getting tackled and trying to show their shirt.
That's what that was?
They don't even have time to say that what they're doing.
I had no idea what this was. So
I think it's for animals.
There was this meme of this. You have no idea what it is, but it's showing part of the stands. And this lady gets up and tries to charge the court. And this security guard comes out of nowhere and just annihilates her, throws her to the ground. It's amazing.
Yes, that was the second or third person.
But then you watch it again, and he's watching her the whole time. He's 100% sure what's about to happen.
My favorite part about that is like, you know how much like floor seats cost for an NBA playoff game?
No.
That person probably spent a couple $1,000s just to get tackled 4 feet onto the court, and probably whatever misdemeanor charges coming her way now. But I just think it's so incredible. Like, I mean, it's not the Super Bowl, but at the same time, sporting event tickets are just so post-COVID, people want to be places now in person. It's just ridiculous.
So sorry to disappoint. The crazy conspiracy theorist here at Walton's says that this is nothing. It's completely reasonable and very, very probably average number of fires.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, guys. I'll find something better. We'll go to Skinwalker Ranch and find a dissected cow or whatever.
Get on the ground there, put a microphone in front of you, and just start going for it.
That'd be awesome. Okay, couple other little news articles. Alpha Gal from the Lone Star tick. You are now allergic to meat. To make it worse, it is also making people allergic to dairy.
Oh no.
It'd be horrible.
So
if I couldn't eat meat or cheese, my life would be ruined.
Be in a lot of well, what would I do?
Couldn't eat ranch either.
No, we
that's another major food group.
Group.
Yeah.
We've talked about this in the past, though. It is not necessarily a life sentence. Like it does generally, I think, go away between 6 and 18 months. It's something like that. Do not hold me to that. But yeah, it's not a life sentence. But so is it just proteins? Right?
I mean, that's what it like sounds like anyways.
What else has proteins in it? Some beans. Never heard of it being, so maybe it's just any animal proteins.
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought people could eat chicken though, because they always used to at least say red meat.
Yeah, I think there's a difference in protein. I've known somebody that's allergic to chicken.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Weird.
That is weird.
What about eggs? Are they allergic to eggs too?
I don't know. I don't know if they're allergic to eggs or not.
Would they be open to us taking a toothpick, putting it in an egg, and stabbing them with it? No.
No.
I wouldn't be open to that. It'd be good TV. So, whatever, just another thing to be afraid of the Lone Star tick from. And then this ties into the episode we did while technically I was gone, but you were gone for the episode.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, you got something.
Did you read how many like positive results there have been? It says there was 1,100 in 2011, 7,800 in 2018, and now they're saying like 34,000 have been diagnosed with the syndrome.
Is that because we're killing too many deers or not enough?
I don't know.
Because if we're killing
ticks,
well, if we're killing a lot of deers, you'd think it would they'd go down, but if we're out there killing deers, then they're jumping from the deers to us, so
they die pretty quickly. Possums, maybe possums are dying off because possums are a major predator.
Oh, they eat a lot of those.
They eat a ton of ticks.
Who's killing all the possums off? What the hell?
Yeah, I don't know, but I do know this. That makes me want to put my tinfoil hat on. Like, when did this start coming around? Right? It says 2011.
Mm-hmm.
When did the anti-meat push really start?
Yep.
Around 2008-ish was the first time I started to really see people, you shouldn't eat meat. It's bad for the environment. It's bad for the whatever. I don't know why I always do that, boys. I do the same thing when I'm talking to somebody else about my wife. And then I always have to stop and go, she doesn't sound like that. I don't know why I do that.
It happened when Joe's Crab Shack started to go at PETA or whatever on Twitter. That's when the animal activism thing happened, right?
Joe's Crab Shack has my eternal love for that.
That was the best.
PETA put a crab up on a billboard and it said, "I'm me, not meat." And then Joe's Crab Shack put another one up with some Old Bay on it. It goes, "There, now I'm meat." Awesome. Absolutely awesome.
That's awesome.
Yes, I loved it. But no, somebody has genetically engineered ticks to make people allergic to meat. So I can't help but feel personally attacked by this.
I could imagine them just throwing ticks out the window.
Get them.
Oh, this is what got on me. Oh my God.
Get the dirty meat eaters.
Wait, they'd probably want to get bit by that, right? Because there's like any urge to eat meat is gone now forever. They're like the guy that makes a spider bite him so he can get, venomous powers or whatever. So.
That doesn't actually work though.
Exactly.
All right. So this one ties into the episode we released while I was gone. What had happened there was you and I had just recorded one. I was going away that following week. We wanted something to release during then, but we didn't really have anything to record. Patrick and I talked about recording another one that day, but we're like, I don't know what we would talk about. So over the night, I was putting together some stories, and a bunch of them were all about this raw meat diet. People just eating raw meat. So I'm like, all right, we've talked about it enough. I'm going to try it. So I bought a really nice steak, some fresh ground beef, and I had some liver that was previously frozen. So I tried all of them, found out I hate raw liver, but really did enjoy the ground beef once we put the ultimate steak and roast rubber on it. And the steak was awesome, which only reinforces my long held belief. I've said it a few times on this podcast, at least.
Brownie batter.
Brownie batter better than brownies. Cake batter better than cake. Cookie dough better than cookie. Raw meat better than meat.
More flavorful, I guess, right?
I would just, yeah.
It's the word on the street.
I mean, the mired reaction on the outside is really nice on meat. So let's be honest about that. But it is funny.
A cooked snack stick to a raw snack stick.
Ooh.
Can you really say that a raw snack stick would be better? Just think of that texture difference.
Could you even consume it? Is there stuff in it that needs to be heated, so to speak?
The meat?
Well, okay. Besides the obvious.
Sorry, you left that wide open.
You're talking about like the cure would be useless to add because it's not going to do anything.
So no additives need to
you wouldn't
be
right. Yeah, we could reduce additives.
No, don't do that.
That does sound like that would be really nasty. How could you do that? Okay, well, hold on a second.
The stick, right?
We could do that.
Well, the casing.
It's the same thing as we did there. We just have to be super careful about where we source the beef from. Clean everything.
You'd be eating
and then mix
paper,
it in.
the raw casing. You'd be just.
Oh, that's a good point.
Casing
wouldn't work.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Oh, that's I love how that's the part he's okay with eating.
Oh, you could eat the casing.
I just eat it without casing it, if anything.
The casing, I mean, you don't need to.
You don't need to cook the casing, but like trying to chew through it is going to be super weird.
That sounds unappetizing.
It's not the raw meat. It's the casing I'm worried about.
Natural casing, I think, would be funky, but collagen casing, I bet it'd just snap right off.
Wait, a natural. Let's get John. Can you eat?
There's 30 millimeter fresh over there.
Please eat sheep and hog intestine, just raw. Oh, come on.
Like I'm being the one who's being unreasonable.
You ate a raw steak. What, you won't eat the raw tubes? Come on.
Correct. One of them's from the good part of the animal.
What do we have here?
So are you just going to flat out eat it? Or
I'm going to try chewing on it.
Shove some meat in there?
No, I'll just try eating it.
19 millimeter smoked collagen?
I think it would be the chew that would be objectionable.
Well, give us all details. What's it smell like? What's it?
Okay.
So that
fair enough. This is fresh smoked collagen, meaning like it's fresh out of the package. So it's got a nice like oily feel to it still.
Austin just went for it.
Chews up just fine.
Oh, wow.
It does not have a good taste. Is it salt?
I don't know. I just took a bite of jalapeno popper, so that's still all I taste.
By itself, it has a not nice taste.
Can you get it down, or does it probably stick in the back of the throat?
It breaks down pretty quickly.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, you could do that, but I would just eat. If we were to do that, which we won't, I would do it without the casing. All right, but while we did that, we broke that up into 2 recording parts. We wanted to film me eating some, then come back 24 hours later. Was I sick? Did I have any problems? Literally no problems. Felt great. So yeah, there was no problems there. However, one of the guys that kind of made me do it. Now, the Mirror, which I think is where I saw the original article on too, has an article that says, "Man on verge of insanity after eating only raw meat for 166 days." It says an American vlogger has left his fans concerned as they fear he is on the verge of insanity. He has been eating only water, drinking milk, and eating raw, all sorts of meats, and way worse than what I ate. He's been eating brains, raw chicken, all sorts of different raw beef. I'll bet you he's got some sort of prion disease from eating something in the brain.
I don't know. Like if I could understand maybe some of it if it's like whole muscle stuff. You're going to eat whole muscle steak. But as soon as you get out of beef and you get to like pork and chicken, brains, any of that, I'm totally out.
How do you prevent the salmonella? I mean, he must be buying it like from a very good source. It's got to be.
His body might have got used to it. 166 days.
Yeah. I mean, your gut biome can do some stuff, but I don't think it can handle salmonella.
Wonder if there was any if you knew he was going to do this, if you could pre-treat, your gut, so to speak. Like,
yeah, it probably could build up your gut biome. But I mean, forget salmonella, E. coli.
Yeah.
I mean,
way worse.
The chances of getting sick off of something is really, really high. I would be shocked if he had not had some intestinal issues.
At least minor food poisoning.
Well, he might.
Okay,
but he might have a whole new thing we've never heard of because people don't just eat raw meat for the last hundreds of years.
That's fair. This may be. He might eventually go put on a Viking outfit and try and storm.
He's a
towns.
berserker.
He's just going to go nuts. But there's another thing that could be causing his insanity, and it's fame.
Yeah.
He might just not be able to deal with all the attention.
So what's it saying is happening to his behavior? Did it mention that in the article at all?
No, they're just saying he's acting crazy.
So it's just off. Yeah. Well, maybe he might have not been a very secure individual in the first place, but
What? As somebody who
has also consumed raw meat.
yes. No, as somebody who read his article or read the articles about him and then wanted to mimic him, there's something different between saying, hey, I want to try this and I'm going to do this for 166 days.
Yeah.
So I would imagine there was at least a predisposition to some mental oddity.
Like, anyways. I don't want to recreate Into the Wild, but I want to go camping, you know?
Sure. Right. Sure. Yes. Very good example. Very good. Let's go camping. Let's not go.
Oh, I got my fix. So yeah.
Let's not go try and kill ourselves. There's a great movie, by the way. You got anything else? No. Looking around?
I'm just looking through all the links I had, and if anything is worth.
Emphatic no from Austin.
Those were the two that I pulled up. Did you find those, or did you give credit where credit is due?
No, I found those.
You found those?
Why, text post them?
Text posted those.
Well, I mean, why would I'm not surprised at that at all.
Okay.
I'm sure.
Like literally.
When did he post them?
3 hours ago.
No.
Look at that.
That's interesting.
The chicken and the egg over there.
Oh.
And by the way, disclaimer, we usually don't put our cooked meat this close to our raw meat. It's just to show you guys the difference.
So I was in a meeting and Patrick was in here taking videos. I go, just make sure that doesn't touch that. That would not be good.
Yeah, well.
Although I could probably handle it.
That's what that sheen is. He took it and just like rubbed it all over it.
Oh, yeah. I thought, did you not want to get that?
Do you think there's something... A couple things. Apparently, cornstarch is far superior at binding water than brown sugar. So I'm going to try getting some cornstarch. No, sorry, not cornstarch.
Baking soda.
Corn syrup solids. I'm going to try getting some of that, and I can lower the amount I have to add to make tender jerky. So I'm going to try that. But do you think there's something we could put on the outside of jerky once it's reached its optimal, for us at least, water activity that could prevent it from any more dehydrating off of it? Basically, could we case harden it without case hardening it? I mean, wax, obviously, but we can't do that.
I mean, I think you would just have to dial in the case hardening, case harden it to a point and stop. It just take a lot of trial and error.
So
I don't know of another way around it. There might be, but
once you've almost reached the level you want, you hit it with really dry, really hot air and try and suck all that moisture out from the outer layer so that, and then basically make it so no moisture from the inside can pass through it. It's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know though.
Somebody must have already done this.
We need a food scientist.
Yeah, there's one guy at the flea market down the street. He used to swear by just putting his meat on the front, in his car. Well, on the front, what do you call that? The dash, just to dry it out. And I looked at him like he was nuts. But you said guys do that sometimes, at least, old school ways. But,
yeah, they shouldn't. But
yeah, I don't think he was allowed to sell anything to anyone. So I said, what the hell are you doing here? But he had like a Vietnam camo thing around his head the entire time.
So he's seen things worse than a little food poisoning.
Let's just add a little bit of that. Bam.
I mean, have you seen the pictures of like the old West with they'd have strings with just cuts of meat hanging over it, air drying in the air. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is a way to preserve meat.
I think people just probably dealt with just getting sick to their stomach a lot more in a week. And then go, oh, well, I won't try that recipe.
Now I'm sick again.
Yeah.
Right.
Some of it is a combination of just salt. I mean, people used a lot more salt and just packed stuff on the outside with salt.
You would have been so happy.
Yeah, it would have been fantastic. Probably why people didn't live as long, because the blood pressure was probably through the roof.
Hypertension.
But some of it depends on what area of the country you're in. There are some places of the country that just have the weather patterns to do stuff like that. Where we are in Kansas, no, not the greatest.
Yeah.
You get over in like Missouri, Arkansas.
It's not even that far away.
Yeah. No, but just vastly different on
Yep.
how weather pattern comes through. But they're much better suited to do air drying of meats over there. So just kind of depends on where you're from.
Doesn't seem fair.
We could move
to Missouri. There's better stuff in Missouri than there is in Kansas. That's actually true. There's lakes. They have some.
There are lakes here.
There are not lakes. There are ponds. What's the biggest lake? Is it El Dorado? I bet you it's El Dorado. I bet you El Dorado's nowhere is it deeper than 20 feet.
Oh yeah. I bet. Where
40 feet.
There'll be like one spot wherever the channel is that runs through it.
Okay.
I bet it's over 20 feet, but yeah, most of the lake, no.
Yeah.
No.
There are a few different lake ranges in New York, whatever you want to call them. The Finger Lakes is one of them. They have one where they used to test sub sonar down in it, and people would hear the pings come up through their toilets because it's so deep that it was the best representation of the ocean they could find without actually going out into the ocean. All right. Thanks, guys. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, leave a review. It really does help. We have got to get better about saying that at the beginning.
Thanks for checking out the Meatgistics Podcast. To shop everything but the meat, head on over to waltonsinc.com. And to get your meat processing questions answered by experts and enthusiasts alike, head on over to our online community at meatgistics.com. Walton's, everything but the meat.